Ujjayi, and welcome to the Gates podcast. We're back with you guys for another episode. I just had to check to make sure that my numbers were correct. We are on episode 21. It's an honor to be back with you guys. Before we get started, though, I would like to take the time to really acknowledge the forces in the non-material, particularly Demnabala Musa Moradinabig, the great ancestor that's responsible for opening up the doors of the Kemetic culture back to the Western world, or to the rest of the world, I should say. And to all the other great ancestors that have been a part of this work and are standing behind this great work, and all the forces in the non-material, all the deities, all the powers of nature, the genies, everything that's standing behind this great work, and everyone's ancestors that, have allowed you to tune into this, and all of our ancestors, because, on the other side, we like to say our ancestors all work together. Ancestors don't, work together based on the color of the skin, The light-skinned guy's ancestors work with his ancestors, and his ancestors work with the light-skinned guys, and all of our ancestors work together. Again, my name is Yattepia Maaheqwurr. I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Kaji's Dream Inside Copter, your co-host.
And my name is Bezzati Maaheqwurr, your current host.
He's kicking us out. It's a colonization takeover. And then we also have our guest. Luckily, we're nice enough to be joined by somebody who's taking time out of their night to come on the show with us. She is an initiate. I'll just give like a brief, introduction for her so that, when the drum roll starts and she says her name, then, it'll be a lot cooler. She is the overseer of one of our temples in the UK. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because she was just telling us that we were pronouncing it incorrectly. She'll say the name of it. She is an initiate, and she is one of the overseers of the temples in the UK. And without further ado...
Duo, thank you very much. I am Yattepia Tutsahwur, the overseer of the Coventry Temple in the Midlands, which is the middle of the UK.
Take notes.
I've been here quite a few years, loving the mission, the work, and I am honoured to be here with you guys today.
We're honored to have you, Yattepia. Yattepia and I go way back to right when I was really starting this journey. So I really have an appreciation for Yattepia, because Yattepia is one of those people that is not about the bullshit. So we definitely have an appreciation for Yattepia, because she just does not beat around the bush, and she will get right to it, and she just has like a killer sense of humor too. So, we were sitting and really thinking about what we could really talk about. Because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we try and keep things as natural as possible. So that means we don't really sit down and discuss topics or decide on topics beforehand. Like sometimes, 30 minutes before we go live is when we can really decide on a topic, because we want to make sure that people understand that as initiates, we're not, rehearsing any of this stuff, and we're bringing it to you in real time, and we're talking on things from a real place of experience. And I was sitting and I was thinking, and I was like, because initially Bezzati kicked one of the other initiates off, and I was thinking about it. I'm not gonna say who. Hopefully she joins us. Whoa.
Sorry.
Shout out to his wife.
I love you.
And so initially I was thinking about it, and I was saying, Yattepia is the son of, technically your dad's from Jamaica, right, Yattepia?
Yattepia is the son.
I'm sorry, the daughter, whatever, guys. The daughter of, your father's from Jamaica, right?
My father was born in Jamaica, his father was born in Ireland.
Okay, shout out to the Iris. the Irish. We're definitely not sponsored by Guinness, but shout out to Guinness.
Real stuff.
Yeah, she has the real stuff over there. We have the fake stuff over here. It's like a Guinness tree, like peed, and then gave us this. Whereas they have like the real Guinness over there. And Kaja Zariman is technically his parents are from Jamaica, and Bezzati's parents are from Haiti, and my parents are from Sudan. And I was sitting and I was thinking about it, and I was like, technically all of us have or could have, depending upon the way things went down, a similar experience in terms of, because when you technically are not from a place or you grow up as the child of immigrants, it kind of puts you in a different kind of lane in terms of the people that are originally from a place. Like, because technically you always have somewhere that you can go back to. Technically, you always have a place you can call home, whereas that some people are already home. So technically, when you're a visitor in someone else's land, or technically when you are, not the original inhabitants of that land, it can kind of, depending upon the way people make you feel or the way people make you feel welcome, or depending upon the level of hospitality, it can, make you feel out of place. Or it can make you feel out of place, not to say in a bad way, but it can make you feel out of place in a good way, in terms of like, maybe you don't take the things the same way everybody else takes the things. Because I was thinking about it particularly, I remember having a conversation with an initiate, and the initiate is considered Black American, right? And so I remember growing up, and actually before I even touch on this a little bit, there's an interesting clip that we have talking about this in terms of from one of our earlier episodes that seemed to have really rubbed people a lot of people the wrong way, and where I was kind of touching on the difference between being an immigrant growing up in America or being a part of the diaspora. I want to make sure to pronounce it correctly for everybody. And being considered like a Black American growing up in America, and how there's like a cultural difference in terms of the way that you look at things. Now, I remember vividly growing up, my dad telling my sister, like, you're not a Black American. And it's something that stuck out to me in terms of now kind of looking at the state of things and kind of thinking about the difference of experience. So I'm going to open up the floor to whoever, but let's let Yattepia speak first, because it's like 2 a.m. over there and we're taking up so much of her time. Yattepia, how would you say, or what would you say is, or how would you describe your experience, and would you say it's different growing up as the child of an immigrant technically an immigrant in the UK, and how it has instructed or directed your approach to life?
Okay, well, we pronounce the word, first of all, diaspora as diaspora.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I
clear?
wanted to correct you, but just let you keep going.
Whatever. You didn't want to be the light-skinned guy that interrupts everybody?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, me either.
And as you've just proven, just the same thing after asking me the question. So let's begin.
Someone's... Wait. No, go ahead. There might have been a
Can you
lag
hear
or
me?
something. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the culture in the UK is very subtly racist. It's not in face, but it is identifiable.
Shout out to the
Being first
racism.
generation of a child of an immigrant always led me to feel out of place. Never quite accepted, but couldn't see why. I felt a disconnect to the land, because there's no nothing familiar for me here. When my parents came from Jamaica, they felt that they had to drop their culture just for acceptance. We never really fit in due to the colour of our skin. For example, we'd have adverts on the TV that would show shampoos to get rid of that frizz. Straighten your hair, use the tongs to get your hair straight. That's the accepted image of beauty. So I relaxed my hair for about 30 years, thinking that, it made a difference, but no, it didn't. It just ruined my hair. I was a foster carer for about almost 20 years. And I remembered a social worker making a comment that most of the children that I had that were white left my care better people because they had embraced the culture that wasn't theirs. They lived in a culture that was white-based. So when they came to mine, they didn't just have the culture that the society portrayed, but they had something that came from me that didn't belong to the culture. So they left my care with a deeper understanding of another culture. Whereas if you place a black child in a white family, you'll get the other effect. You'll get a child growing up understanding the white culture, but not having any of the black culture instilled in them. So as I was growing up, I didn't know my own culture. As I said, my parents dropped their culture in order to be accepted. And we grew up not knowing who we were. There was no external factors to say, this is how you should be as a black person, as a black woman. Everything that I was exposed to was what the colonizer wanted me to be. There was always a longing to leave. Always a longing to leave, but didn't know where to go. I felt that they had taken something from me, but I didn't know what it was until I got older and I realised it was my identity. They had taken myself away from self. And it wasn't like it was seen to be imposed, but it was something that was taught from a very young age, that your culture wasn't good enough for the place that you was living in. So drop it and live the culture that we want you to live. It left you in a state of helplessness, feeling that you had no choice but to comply. To try and fit into a society that clearly didn't want you there. Because when my family came over, my mother and my father came over, we came over to build the country after the war. So we had all the low-paid jobs, sweeping the streets, cleaning the hospitals, bus drivers.
Kafra, when you say war, which war? What time period was this?
1942, when the Second World War finished, the country was in a state.
Is that the Windrush generation?
Yes, yes. So when we came over, or as I grew up, I saw black people working hard all the time and struggling, and not being given the same recognition as the non-blacks in the same country. So growing up, I felt that no matter what I did, I had to try extra hard because that is what I was exposed to. It's all I knew. And because my parents tried to drop their identity, but they had some of it at home, whenever we expressed that outside of the home, it was shut down. You can't do that. You can't behave that way. Not really being explained why you shouldn't behave that way. Our culture, the American culture and the UK culture, is completely different. We didn't have slavery in this country. We was one of the biggest perpetrators, but we didn't have that. We didn't have the marches. We didn't have a lot of the things that the American culture has. So our exposure was very, very different. But it was harsh, but it was done subtly. We watched the older generation struggle, and we adopted the mentality that when they got to a certain age, they didn't have a use. But that wasn't my culture. It was the culture I was living in. And because we was turned away from our culture, there was always a fear from our parents that you can't live your culture or be who you need to be because of fear of being targeted because your culture didn't fit the narrative.
Damn.
Um, it's things like we couldn't have stopovers, we couldn't sleep at a friend's house because that's what the privileged non-blacks did. My parents would hold us back, always not forced, but always told to be better than what they were, be better than, or work harder to be accepted. Um, because when my parents came over, they came from Jamaica, coming to the motherland, coming to the colonializers' home, what built Jamaica. So they thought when they came over that they would be treated with respect, and it was not that at all. So it just left me feeling that I couldn't attain what everybody else could. There was no cultural symbols around. And people who embraced their culture, we was made to feel like they were the outcasts because they were fitting in. So you get the mindset of them being foreign. Well, hello. But what I did realize that this knowledge that Maaheqwurr left behind was clarity to the mind. It gives you a deeper understanding of your position of where you are. As I said, the culture in the UK is much, much different. It's very subtle. And this knowledge gives you the capability to identify it. But what it also does is give you the tools to navigate through it, which is it has helped because my children have gained and my grandchildren have gained, so it has helped a lot. But those are just some of the things that we need to deal with growing up in the UK.
I mean, it sounds exactly like the way they kind of do it here, because there very much is like this culture of no culture here in the U.S. And what it does is that it breeds and it cultivates a sense of intolerance toward any culture that's not coming from the colonial culture. And so I remember even growing up, I think like my third grade teacher kind of pulled me to the side one day and she was like, would your parents be interested in coming in and speaking about some of the holidays that you guys celebrate and all this kind of stuff? And because I grew up in a predominantly Jewish area, and I remember going back home and telling my parents, and then nothing just ever coming of that. And then that's when I think I really started to realize, like, okay, like, you know, the culture here is completely different. Because I remember going home and telling my dad, like, yeah, you know, like, people are making fun of me about this, or people are making fun of me about that, and all this kind of stuff. And then my dad pulled me to the side one day, and he was like, never be embarrassed about who you are and where you come from. Because what you have to understand is that these people are treating you that way. And yes, he used the term "these people" are treating you this way because it makes them uncomfortable that you know where you're coming from, and they don't know where they're coming from. And I mean, that's just, it sounds like you and I had similar experiences. I don't know if it was kind of different for you, Bezzati, or if it was similar, like growing up as the child of Haitian immigrants.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I could say it's kind of similar. Like, I did not have any, let's say, connection to my Haitian roots. Or maybe I just didn't want any connection to my Haitian roots. You know, it was something
Did you
kind of like
grow up like eating like Haitian food in the house and listening to Haitian music, all that stuff?
I mean, yeah, I heard my parents. Well, I heard my. Not really. With the Haitian music, no. The Haitian food, yeah. You know, when my mother would cook, yeah, I
You
got
can't
the
leave
Haitian
the food.
Say what?
You can't leave the food. No matter how colonized we get,
Yeah,
one thing
it's
we always
true.
keep is the food,
Yeah.
some way, somehow.
It's true.
That's a fact. But yeah, it was almost like, you know, being African. The way, you know, they would diss Africans, call them African booty scratchers and whatnot.
What would they call Haitians? Like Haitian
Haitian
back
booty
scratchers?
No,
Haitian
people-
booty scratchers.
People
and
used to
shit.
dog Haiti, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember that growing up. People used to dog Haiti.
Mhm.
Like, it was ridiculous. I think people would go after Haiti more than they would even go after Africans.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Even myself, I'd be dogging Haiti. I'm like, nah, I ain't Haitian. I'm black.
Oh,
I'm real. I'm a nigga.
you selling out your own culture.
Yeah, I was selling them out. I didn't want no parts of it. It was just something that was just looked down upon. You know, didn't want no connection, want no parts of it. I'm like, I didn't want to speak the language.
Damn.
And yeah, you know, it was like, nah, I'm here. I'm American. I'm black. I speak English. This is who I am. I ain't want no Haitian in me. Nowhere close to me, nowhere.
Damn.
And that's, you know, I guess it's a common sentiment, because growing up, I've been around other kids who weren't like born in Jamaica like I was, but they were born in the States, so they had a sentiment towards Jamaica as if it was like something to look down on. Like, I remember in school, one of the things that was said to me when we were looking at the maps and looking at geography, and I was like, yeah, I noticed here we don't really have rivers like that, and if we do, we can't swim in them. But then I opened up my mouth and I said, yeah, I bathe in my river, and the whole class laughed at me. And in my mind, it triggered me, because I was like, what the fuck y'all laughing at? Like, I couldn't really understand. I'm like, it's water.
Yeah.
Like, and then I was like, so he was like, oh, you drink the water too? I was like, yes. I couldn't understand. So it was, then I say tree instead of three.
Yeah.
So that was like a thing that you'd make fun of too. So it was like, the fuck is this?
Well, let me ask you guys this: like, what? Because it sounds like it's definitely like it's a common theme. Because, like, yes, Yattepia, I agree. Like the difference of racism here is completely different from the racism in the UK, because I'd notice it with like the fervency of like particularly, it's like you can see it and you can identify that there's a lot of the Black Americans that co-opt and kind of, you know, champion the colonial culture, particularly the colonizer mindset, because to be a colonizer is just a mindset. It's not about skin color.
They have no choice.
Yeah, I mean, they have no choice.
There
But
was no choice.
But at least for me, in terms of the difference I've noticed between like the UK flavor and the US flavor, it's not like, you know, colonization is ice cream flavors, but the difference is that like the UK people have, or the UK immigrants or UK people that aren't coming from that culture have championed a different kind of aspect of it. So they seem to cling to the aspect of like, no, like you stay over there and we stay here. Whereas that the aspect of racism in America that the non-colonial people have co-opted in terms of the colonial culture is more of some of the, dare I say, like physical tactics, like more of like the tactics in terms of like, here's what we're gonna kind of like undertake as avenues in order to reclaim something. Whereas that in the UK, it's more like, no, like the segregation is real. So it's like, no, you're not allowed in this space, and we don't want you in this space. and we don't want to see you in this space. Whereas that, like, if I say this all the time, if like a white person goes to the hood, that white person is the safest person in the hood, because everyone in the hood knows you could kill as many black people as you want to, and the police don't give a shit. The police will not come around and nothing will happen. But you touch that white person, they will lock the whole city down. That white person goes missing, the CBS, NBC, Fox News is going to be there talking about, in other news, a white woman has gone missing. And they're going to be looking for that person like you've never seen before.
It's just like that incident with Central Park, where they blamed those young boys, those young black boys, for the what was it, a murder or a rape?
Central Park 5 for the rape of the white lady.
Yeah.
That lady was out jogging.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the racism in UK is like the Barack Obama, and the racism in America is the Donald Trump.
It's like a Donald Trump racism. Well, I mean, the interesting thing though is like, how would you say we can actually kind of like turn the corner? Because the troubling part is like, we're talking about it, right? But we're talking about it as initiates. But even seeing some of the like feedback, because it's feedback, like seeing from the way some people are responding to some of the clips where we talk about how black Americans are lacking an identity and lacking a culture. And then people are like, fuck you. They're like, how dare you? Like, we do have culture. We do have this. We do have that. Like, how would you guys say we can turn the corner?
I think we need to bring segregation back. I think the division, I think when we're coming together is blurring the lines. Because there's clearly a group that are imposing more versus another group that are just expressing who they are versus imposing, just sharing. So I feel like if we separated ourselves, then the people that are just sharing and not imposing will be able to not only see who they are, but also express that versus being just imposed on by the other group and being blinded by who they are and just being attached from what's being imposed onto them.
But do you mean like segregation, like actual segregation?
Yeah, actual segregation. This is your place. This is your culture. This is what you do. This is our place. And now, and there should be other places where we can come together and share versus just all being mixed in this what they call it, the melting pot. And
but hold on, let's give it to Yattepia real fast. Yattepia, would you say that's worked in the UK? Because it seems like that's the part that you guys really kind of like are, like you guys are really strong on, is that whole aspect of segregation. Because it's still alive very much in the UK culturally.
I would say
Segregation will not work because you are confirming what the miseducation has brought to the people living here. Maaheqwurr says diversity brings beauty to the world. In other words, we do accept people. We don't impose our culture on anybody. Nobody should impose their culture on us. But there is a way of living where you can accept people for who they are. If they don't want to know about you, that's their decision. Segregation works against that. Segregation keeps us further apart when it should be the other way around. We are living in a society of individualism, where we have our own houses and sometimes we don't even know who our neighbours are. Therefore, that separates us even more from the people next door. And because that separation is there, we don't understand who they are, what their culture is, what they have to offer, what they can bring, and what we can share. So you made a comment that they don't like where we're coming from.
Shout out to my dad.
It's not like they don't like where we're coming from. It's because they don't know where we're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
In order for us to create a better world, we need people to understand about each other. not further separation. It's the coming together, the collective mind that can find ways to work together because they understand each other. Not because there's a wall between each one. Oh, let's build a wall for the Jews, let's build a wall for the blacks, let's build a wall for the Irish. That doesn't work at all.
Shout out to Trump's wall in Mexico on the Mexican
Yeah,
border.
it's the separation that keeps us divided, and it's the separation that stops us from moving forward. Segregation doesn't work. We've already seen that. Why are we walking backwards?
What were you gonna say,
You
Curtis?
look back to see the mistakes that we've made so we don't make it again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to what you were saying, because I was kind of gonna lead into that a little bit, but I would also add that one of the things that I've noticed, especially within America, and from what I can see in the UK, just from knowing people in the UK and having family in the UK, is that there seems to be a strong kind of presence of what we might consider to be black culture, right? And you would even find that there's people who are of Arab descent, people who are of European descent, who partake in that same kind of black culture and even speak the way we speak, because patois is very much in the slang of the UK.
Did you say patois? Sorry, did you say patois or patois?
Patois. You know how,
Patois.
There's Jamaican UK beef and Jamaican US beef. Like, did you say patois or did you say patois?
Patois.
But what I'm saying is when you see that, right, and you see people come together in those ways, there seems to always be like a form of cultural exchange, and that cultural exchange seems to be like the icebreaker in a way for many of the problems or issues we might face in society, particularly in the realm of I guess you would say racism, because if, like Yattepia said, if I understand somebody else and they understand me, then what then do we have to fight about? Because then it kind of becomes a world of like, okay, we're functioning on the same kind of values. Like we're valuing the same thing. We're understanding the same thing. So us understanding the same thing kind of has a way of bringing us together in a way where we can have coexistence. Whether you at home have a specific kind of culture versus me at home having a specific kind of culture. But when we come together, we understand that, okay, this is how it is, and this is what it is, and this is a way that we can kind of function together. And I think America has kind of done a good way of using that, but using it against everyone here. Because you would even hear black people from America say that everybody is following black Americans. That's like a common thing. Because, again, it's just a misunderstanding or a lack of exposure to the rest of the world. Because if they looked at the rest of the world, they would see that there's this kind of trend that kind of follows us, like I guess you could say black people, no matter where they go. And because they live in America or we're here in America, America has a way of presenting itself as the center of the world. So the people who grew up in America by default also have that kind of mindset, whether they realize it or not, which is the danger of the colonial society in America, because America in itself started as a place where people had to get away from their culture, because they were getting away from England, right? Even the so-called white people.
It was the Puritans, or I don't remember.
The Pilgrims, whatever.
Yeah, Pilgrims. It was a specific sect of Christianity. I don't remember the exact sect.
But either way, even besides the Pilgrims, just the foundation of it in itself was freedom away from your oppressor or persecution, freedom away from where you came from. So by default, the people living in this place have been educated in that way. It's a freedom away from where they came from. So it's been a detriment to them, because now they have like this thing inside them where it's like, I've been here, this is all I know. So when somebody like Tatipsa says something like what he said, it's obviously going to be triggering, because it's almost like shaking the reality for them, because they don't have that understanding, because again, they just have no exposure to nowhere else. So I think the best we can do is just bring exposure and awareness to individuals. because bringing exposure and awareness to individuals, it always changes the perspective. That's why traveling is always good. Most of the people I've met who've traveled to places and have shared their experiences with me always have a story of how they thought about something before as opposed to how they're thinking about something after, because they have a new exposure and they have a new look on life. And that's one of the problems with colonial societies like America and England. There's like a bubble that everybody is trapped in. Everybody thinks in perspective of that bubble. And people think that bubble is the center of the world. So they can't perceive or see anything beyond that center of that world that they think they're living in.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
what do you think? Let me ask you this, Bezzati. So, my very first job, I worked at Jet's Pizza, right? And I'll never forget. So this is when I was living in Texas. And there was this dude, white dude, and he was my coworker. And so the way that like the line at Jet's Pizza would work is like there'd be the people that prepare the pizza, and then when the pizza comes out of the oven, there's the cutter, and then there's the boxer, like the one who puts the pizza in the box. So me and him were the fastest ones. So he would cut, and then I would box the pizza, right? And I remember one day I didn't have a ride, and we spent a lot of time together, like, cause we would stand right next to each other. And he was like a hick. He was like a white dude that like wore cowboy boots, like, you know, like listened to country music, drove the pickup truck, and like spit dip. Like he just fit every stereotype of like racist white dude, right? And Jet's Pizza is amazing, by the way. So Medicata, yes, shout out to Jet's Pizza, because Jet's Pizza is phenomenal. And shout out to Detroit. I was born in Detroit, so Jet's Pizza is from Detroit. And one day I didn't have a ride home, and he was like, "Oh, I'll give you a ride." And then he made a comment. He was like, "You're the first black person to ever get in my car."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." But the thing is,
You'll
it's
be
like,
the last.
well, well, I don't know. I don't know what he's up to nowadays. So I don't know if he has given any other black person a ride ever after me. But what I noticed is that like he was kind of living in like whatever he thought about black people, or whatever he had seen about black people. But then he was like confined in a working environment with me where he couldn't get away from who I am. And we then ended up like kind of, you know, just having a rapport and building a rapport to an extent where he was like, you know, you're actually kind of cool. And I was like, thanks, bro. Like, not knowing what to say. But if we functioned off of segregation, do you think we would be able to make those kind of connections? Because I'm not saying segregation is wrong. Yattepia and Kajas Riemann are saying that. But I want to hear your argument.
Well, I didn't say it was wrong. I said it.
I mean,
in
you guys
some
are
areas it's
making
not
cases
useful.
against it. I know. You
I
guys
did.
making
I
cases.
see what's wrong.
Yattepia's like, I fucking said it. I stand on it. But what do you think?
All right, so I guess let me make it more clear for people. When I say segregation, not the segregation that we know of, but we gotta understand, like we all know, Martin Luther King realized, like he broke that segregation. He broke that and allowed us to all come together. And then he realized he messed up. He was like, I integrated us into a burning building. You know, most of us know about that.
I have led my people into a burning
Correct.
building. Cover.
And you know, and that's kind of the point that I'm making. Not segregate physically, but more like philosophically, ideologically, because like you said, we're in this bubble. So we have to break out of this bubble and be exposed to our roots, be exposed to who we are. And then therefore we can share and express those things like to the fellow hick.
fellow hick.
Yeah.
You're saying that like as if I'm a hick too.
Yeah, you know.
The thing is, it's not just us that needs to be exposed to it. It's everybody that needs to be exposed to it in order for them to gain understanding. It's like having a bill, the one side faced. You can't spend that in a shop. That's saying that both sides need to be healed, not just the one. We all need educating at the same time so we can all grow and learn at the same time. You cannot heal one group of people because that does more damage to the other one. They'll just find another way of fighting. So it's about educating everyone at the same time.
But isn't that like what Master Naba started?
Well, as they say, hurt people, right?
Yeah.
And I think,
Exactly.
that's what he did. That's the point. Because in traveling all over the world, originally it was for, it was for black people. It was for niggas.
What was for niggas?
What Master Nabu was bringing. Because
No, that's not true.
No,
That's a misrepresentation.
no, but hear what I'm
Because-
saying. Originally, what I'm saying is this.
Especially from those from the diaspora.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
but that's kind of, you pronounced it correctly, but that's kind of a misrepresentation though, because then you have to talk about how there are people that are in this that don't have the same skin color as
Right.
being a part of the, how do you pronounce it? Diaspora, that are people that are not technically,
Not D.
diaspora, that are a part of the diaspora. That's my immigrant coming out, is I'm like, fuck English. So it's like, because you can't say that technically.
Right, 'cause
It's
you
very
don't
difficult to say that.
Right.
Because
Looks
there's
can be
people,
looks can be
there are
deceiving.
people that are part of the diaspora
Right.
that are not technically a part of the diaspora because
Just-
of the way that they look.
Right. Right.
Yes.
But, so let me
As
clear
I
it
said-
up. That's what I was trying to say, but I said it in a very vulgar way.
Yeah.
But the point I'm
Yeah,
making
but
is this.
people aren't gonna understand that though.
Uh-huh.
Someone's gonna take that and then cling to it and be like, "Nah, this is only for black people," and then they won't even have the cultural understanding of what it means to be a black person,
Right.
what it means to be a white person. They're just taking it at face value in terms of like black American, someone from the U.S. that has no culture, as classified by the colonizer. Then they're like, "That's a black person."
Right.
And that's the problem.
Right.
It's a big problem.
And
It's a big
that's
problem.
and that's one of the
what needs to be
sentiments.
eradicated.
Go, one of you guys go.
No, let her go.
Go
Chairman, go
ahead.
ahead.
Yattepia.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and that's the actual sentiment that actually gives us most problems in this, because especially in America, I find easily, because I'm not too sure about the UK, but I find that in America, that's the biggest problem that we face, is people with a certain hue or skin complexion misunderstanding exactly what this is and what exactly it means to have like culture, or exactly what the mission of the Earth Center is. But like I was trying to say is like, in reaching out to the diaspora, he realized there's an issue, a larger issue at hand with the entire world, because essentially, again, hurt people hurt people. So there's an entire healing that needs to take place for all people, because if that healing doesn't happen, then what's going to happen is nothing but chaos and destruction. It's going to be just madness, because if we all can't come together and have a single understanding, or we can't come together and have rules, or we can't come together and have a way of looking at life, then we're finished, because that's essentially where things are headed as we speak right now. If we continue along the lines of, oh, this person's this person's this, so let's separate this, let's separate that. Because essentially, if we're even looking at it as ancient cultures, they didn't function that way. Even though
That's what ended us in this situation, right?
Right.
Is our ancestors accepted everybody.
You mean what ended us up in like colonialism?
Yeah, I mean that's the basis of colonialism. Is the Greeks came,
Yeah.
they learned what our ancestors were doing, and then they were like, "Chill the fuck out. We'll take it from here."
Well, listen, that's part of life, right? You can't really let the actions of a few determine the actions for everybody. Like,
Well, that's why Master Naba opened it up, right?
right.
I feel like Master Naba is bringing in the mental, spiritual, philosophical segregation because we're not allowing the modern culture to come in and kind of corrupt this. It's like we have what we have that's pure, and we're keeping it like that.
But then, if that's the case, then how do you explain this then, son?
What, the
Because
calendar?
yeah, because we don't print the calendar in Merita. Like in the bush, like you're not gonna be like, better go pick up those calendars from the printer, or like, man, better go get your Madu notebook. It's like, nah, it's like all of that stuff's up here. So in a way, it's like, you have to be able to fuse the two. Because I'm with you to a certain extent. Because even I think I saw Ishkata talking about it, is like the Amish are a good example of kind of like that kind of segregation.
You mean like finding a place and just staying within
your own stratosphere.
Yeah,
But-
I'm not against that.
I'm not totally against that
But how's this?
because you're printing it. Like you're using the colonial method of expression in order to get it out. Because we wouldn't even, like, we don't have books per se in the culture.
But how
So-
else would we get it to people with no
But the
context or
thing is-
understanding?
Well, that's the way we got to do it in this day and
The
age.
thing is, we have to adapt
Exactly.
Right.
to the changes, not adapt the culture, but adapt the way we deliver it.
Uh-huh.
And there's certain things that people in outside of the Earth Center can know, but there are other things that you can know with initiation.
Mm-hmm.
So what we give to the public is a taster of what we have inside.
Exactly.
It's not because if we gave everything, a lot of people go crazy. It
Oh,
takes
man.
time. Initiation is 12 months plus, and it takes time to assimilate the knowledge, to live with it, to work with it, and to be it. We can't give that to everybody because not everybody is willing to accept it, and those who are not willing to accept it will exploit it and use it to harm. So the little knowledge that we do give out there, as Master Naba said, will create super intelligent people. But we also have to be careful with the knowledge that we do put out there. Very limited, but enough to turn heads and to get people thinking. So what the knowledge does, the knowledge that we send out, the publication, it filters people. It filters those who want to know and those that do not want to know without imposing or putting too much out there that's too heavy. And the ones who want to know, who do take this knowledge, are the ones that we take care of.
Exactly.
They in turn will teach the ones who don't want to know, little by little, generation by generation. It's taken 2,500 years for us to get to this place. It'll probably take another 2,000 years for us to get out of it.
Right.
But we have to start somewhere.
Yep.
And it starts with us being sensible, being tactful, using our minds and thinking of how we can deliver this information that doesn't hurt people, but helps them to understand the hurt that they are already in.
I'm dropping a bomb for that one. We got all the DJ sounds back here.
Nigga money, hey.
No way.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Wait.
my
I don't.
favorite. It's
Yeah.
my
That's
favorite
Kanja Zimmerman's favorite. This is my personal favorite.
Ankh and my aunt.
But but Bezzati, I want to let you finish your point though, because
Yeah, I mean, like I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I'm just, just coming from a point where it's just like, yeah, we're adapting and we're bringing this, and it's like what Yattepia said. We're here focused on the ones that see this and realize it versus the ones that don't see it. They're gonna attack us or whatnot, call us what we are, but it's just because they don't see it, and we really not really care for those mindsets. They're not ready yet, and when they are ready, we'll be here.
So I mean, let's open it up to some of the questions in the chat real fast before we jump back into the conversation. Starting out with Chem Warrior. First and foremost, let me just say, like, these like burner accounts that everybody uses. I don't know who Chem Warrior is, but I feel like Chem Warrior, Sigil Seeker, and all these like fake, like comedic burner accounts. Like, just use your real name, whoever you are. Like, you don't have to use your burner account, whoever you are. But shout out to Chem Warrior nonetheless. We appreciate you as a viewer, even if it is with your burner account. And he said, I heard modern Arab Egyptian are going to start teaching the ancient Egyptian language. What will be the effect?
Very bad.
Who wants to take that?
That's a very interesting modern Arab.
Yeah.
That it doesn't even make sense, but okay.
Yattepia, go ahead.
I remember doing a talk about language, and in order to learn the language, you must learn the culture. If they don't know, how can they teach the language?
Bullets? Oh, damn. Oh, drop the mic. All right, what were you going to say, Bezzati?
There's no such thing as Egypt, that's one. So the thing that they're going to be teaching is something that's non-existent.
Tell them.
And then also, Egyptologists or
I don't know.
Arabs, wherever they getting it from, it's just not coming from the source. It's coming from, them just seeing it and guessing. It's a lot of guesswork that's in there. So, whatever they claim to be teaching is just not. It's just not.
And Matthew Ruta.
What year did the Arabs get there?
I think they got there around, I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't really remember, but they're not really a part of the culture and they're not from the culture.
If the headline was indigenous people of Egypt, or I guess the people they call Nubians, or even some of the, because there's light-skinned Nubians and there's dark-skinned Nubians, which people get confused at. But if that was the thing, I'd be like, oh, really? That's interesting. But modern Arabs?
They're saying that after the fall of Rome, Egypt became a part of the Byzantine Empire until it was conquered by the Muslim Arabs in 641 CE.
641.
Just the mere fact that they have to say modern.
Exactly. Yeah.
Says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
As you said, could just remain ancient? Yes. Indigenous? Yes. Modern culture looks forward, but they don't get the wisdom from the past.
Exactly.
So then Matthew Ruta is is asking, and Matthew Ruta, shout out to Matthew Ruta, he's our most dedicated Gate of Gator. Yeah, I just came up with that on the spot. Gate of Gator. He has a question, and he says, so what are we saying? Comedic culture, parades, and historical months? I don't know. Matt, I'm going to let you rephrase that because I don't understand that question. But Chem Warrior is asking, why is African the one always preaching unity for humanity? Is it a sign of fear? Who wants to take that one?
They have an understanding of unity. It's within the culture. They don't know any better. They know that unity works and separation doesn't.
Well, they know
so as
better.
far as religion is concerned, they know better. If you know better, do better. And that's what we're doing.
What mother would not want to see all their children united? I mean, it's just common sense.
Stunting on you.
Yeah, community equals common unity. So we're together because we have a goal that we all want to achieve. We talk about the black community, but what is the goal of the so-called black people in America? Get money?
The goal of black people in America, the black people in the UK, is the goal of the colonizer or colonizer. Not there.
No, you was right. The colon.
Colonizer.
So
The Americans say colonizer.
We've been getting browbeat by Yattepia all night about the way we pronounce things. And like there's certain things I guess like, just fit certain stereotypes. Like Americans speak bad English and we're just here.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's just
Yattepia's
verbal
like,
Irish.
that is not the way you speak English.
Well,
So
English
moving,
is a dialect, so you can speak it any way you want to.
yeah, I mean, but we'll just speak it. We're speaking it wrong.
You're right?
No, it's definitely wrong. It's in oh, is there a right? Oh, nah. I mean, English in and of itself is just nonsense. So there's a few questions here from Chem Warrior that don't really make sense. So I'm gonna have to skip them. Matthew Ruta said, "Do we have 2,000 years to get out of the position we're in without being bystanders to the destruction of modern civilization that was built off of colonialism?"
The thing is, when we come into the spiritual path, we all look for the Big Bang. We all look for things that happen immediately. Life is not like that. It's a journey. And unfortunately for us, we are at the beginning of the journey where there is a spiritual revolution happening. It hasn't happened. It's happening. So it might take 1,000 years. It might take 200 years. We don't know. But we are at the beginning of change. And if we don't help to make that change, in 500 years' time, we're still talking about the same thing because there's no change. So it's going to take us to make the change in order for the future generations to benefit.
I would just say that, the society that people know as Kemet, or indigenous society, because that's all it really is, has ruled the world for over hundreds of thousands of years. Like there's been principles that have governed the world for hundreds of thousands of years. Now that's hundreds of thousands of years from the perspective of the colonial mind. But we have a calendar here. And in our calendar, if you enter the initiation and you fully understand it, then you understand that what we call 1,461 years is actually a full year. So with that mindset, if we're considering that to be an actual year, 1,461 years is a real year, then that shows you in the grand scheme of things, what we consider to be a long time might not necessarily be a long time. It's how you've been educated to kind of look at time. So it might seem like all of this is like going on for long, but it might not be as long as you think. It's all your education and your perspective. So there's just certain ways we have to start looking at things. Things have to start to shift. We have to start to really understand how our ancestors saw the existence and how they saw the reality. And things go in cycles. That means if it's only 1,461 years is 1 year, and we're in what, 2023? That means the modern society is not that old. And we can see it being that young, we can see the destruction it's already bringing. So I wouldn't even say it's another 2,000 years, because things are already unfolding as we speak.
Yeah, and we got to get rid of this microwave mindset where we want things to be done yesterday, let alone in our lives. It's, to put it in perspective, most of us are in the West are being exposed to our culture. We didn't grow up in it. It's not our foundation. Our foundation is colonialism. But now we're taking this in now. And we're going to have our children who will be born into this. They will be the first generation that's born into this. And even them may not really see the true revolution because they have parents with the foundation of colonialism. So maybe our grandchildren who are born in it and also have children that were born in it, maybe they'll see it, but then their grandparents still had a foundation of colonialism. So this is how we really got to look at it in terms of generation, in terms of the children's 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 children.
It's like cosmic chess. Cosmic chess. That's what it really is. It's like playing chess in the long term.
Infinity Wars.
Yeah, it's the Infinity Wars for real. You know the Chinese have a 10,000-year plan.
For real.
Yeah,
Wow.
bro. 10,000-year plan.
That's deep.
Like, think about that. Really think about that. So it's like, what is wrong with our minds that we are thinking about? Like, it's right now. It's this. This is right now. Bro, there's people playing on a different level.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to get our minds at. It's just
Well,
what it is.
modern wise, that's where we have to get our minds.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you guys got to also, I mean, I don't want to necessarily just praise the Chinese because
It's not even a praise. It's just to show you,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
just-
there's like levels.
But, you know, we're not chumps either.
Mhm.
Like, our ancestors are not chumps because our ancestors, like, a lot of people ask and be like, why now? Like, why is it happening now? And all this kind of stuff. And then the real question is like, you know,
Why not?
why not? Because the thing is you have to understand that our ancestors, if our method of time, like you said, is damn near 1,500 years, right? For one click on the clock, then technically you're not dealing with somebody that's going to be thinking short term only. You're dealing with somebody that's going to be thinking so far ahead down the line that it becomes very difficult for you to fight against that person. I remember a wise man told me about this work, and he said, because I was like, yeah, you know, like revolution and all this kind of stuff. And he said, you want to be a revolutionary? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, so then fight a revolution of ideas. He was like, don't fight a revolution of flesh and blood. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then he explained it like, you got to understand that this system is coming from somewhere. And then you have to understand that your ancestors were standing on something at some point or another. And the way that they thought, the ideas that they stood on, the ideas that they stood for, that's what's going to come and fight this system. So if you want to fight the system, then understand that you have to be a warrior within the war of ideas. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is like, if you truly want to make a difference, you have to understand that our ancestors were fighting a war of ideas. And that's where we find ourselves today.
It's so easy to pass down generational trauma. Let's pass down generational knowledge.
It's all in the mind.
Yeah, that's what Naba was trying to reach out and express in that New York lecture.
Oh, you mean Master Naba?
Yeah, what I say?
You said Naba.
Yeah, Master Naba.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the New York lecture, he's trying to let them know, you know, it's not about killing them. It's not about killing, destroying the system, getting it down, because once that's done, once that's all said and done,
What next?
we still have, what's the mindset? What's the idea?
You gonna destroy what you thought was the enemy, and then you gonna build the same thing again because that's what educated you.
That's it.
Well,
and
you
then
become
you become that.
I mean,
It's
that's
the same thing.
That was really kind of the thing I wanted to get to today, was like how so many of us, in being the children of immigrants or being immigrants coming to this society, we don't understand how we become them and how we lose ourselves in the process. And the sad part is that, like, you know, we are them whether we want to admit it or not, because we're speaking their language, we're eating their food, we're living their way of life, we're thinking the way they think. And that's the problem, is like, you know, no matter how you want to slice it and dice it, we find ourselves in a position where, in an attempt to assimilate, you are attempting, or you're shedding, the thing that actually gives you the identity that allows you to track your culture through time and space, like your real identity through time and space. And that's the sad part, is like, in today's day and age, like, you know, you got people that really think they're doing their ancestors' work, and they're living exactly like the colonizer, functioning like the colonizer, thinking like the colonizer, doing all of the colonizer's bidding, and then claiming to be their ancestors' wildest dreams. And then they're the ones that are like, no, you don't know. I know. And you don't, because you don't want to go out and kill, because you don't want to go out and fight. And then it's like, you don't want to co-opt the colonizer's way of living, and therefore you're the one that's wrong. And then it's sort of like, but that's not the way your ancestors functioned. Your ancestors weren't out here killing people. Your ancestors weren't out here functioning in a way where they weren't allowing people to come into their, communities. And that's the thing, is like, there's certain things that can't be broken down over time, whether you want it to be broken down or not. And that's why you see certain stereotypes, even in movies. Like, if you see The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, right? This is a good example of like that kind of hospitality and acceptance that our ancestors had. Because anytime you have a so-called outcast from the white community, you will find them seeking out or finding the acceptance within the so-called black community. Because when they ostracize Benjamin Button and they throw him away, he's found by a black lady that's like, oh no, who would throw away a baby? And then he's raised within the black community.
I've never seen this movie.
That's a great movie. You're a hater.
Sadly, I only watch movies where people die.
Yeah, we know. We know. Kaja Zerman only watches movies where it's like,
It's
the
violence.
other day,
It has to be violent.
like the other day, Kenny Bosch and I were going to go see a movie, and then Kaja Zerman was like, "Are people gonna die in it?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Well, actually, yeah. It's about the atom bomb," and he was like, "But is there violence?" I was like, "No." He was like, "Are there bitches?" I was like, "No."
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
No,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And then you were like,
He's
"Not my
lying.
kind of movie."
He's lying. I did not say that.
Sure. But I mean, the point is this, is now you're the light-skinned guy that doesn't let anyone talk, is basically, that's the way our ancestors functioned, is our ancestors had an understanding of the unity of humanity, that it's like, that can't be broken. It's something that's in the blood. There's certain things, no matter how much you attempt to assimilate, you can't get away from it. And that's where we find ourselves, is you're either going to like work to activate those things that are in the blood that you can't get away from, or you're going to continue to kind of allow the physical mind or the zeitgeist of the current times to brainwash you into thinking like, hey, I'm this thing, when you're not. And it eventually you're going to have to make that decision. Eventually. There's another question from Joshua Rawls. He said, what can we expect when visiting Merita during these coups? Expect the normal way of shit going down in Africa, in Merita, because the thing is, this is like, even when COVID was happening.
Tickets are cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Expect a cheap
Like,
ticket.
just don't buy an Air France ticket. Tickets are cheap right now. Make sure you fly Turkish, or make sure you fly Moroccan, but don't fly Air France. I'm speaking from experience. And this is the thing, is like, when COVID happened, like, we were in Merita when COVID went down, and we were hearing about everything that was happening, and I was like, for real? I was like, you gotta wait to go to the grocery store? I was like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, because everything in Merita was business as usual. Masks, nobody gave a shit about a mask. Sneezing, like, remember how sneezing became like a taboo. Became a taboo. Like, if you sneezed in a store, everyone would be like,
It's still like that.
I don't know, is it? But like, that's the thing, is like, expect business as usual, bro, because there's certain things in the blood that can't be broken. Like, and that's the thing, is like, man, for us as Africans, like, we don't shy away from so-called conflict. Like, here in America with the European colonial like culture, because I was thinking about this, right? I was thinking about this earlier, actually. And I was thinking about how, like, the way white people communicate, right?
Passive aggressive.
Like passive aggressive, kind of like there's like a lot of undertones. Like they don't come out and say things directly all the time, right? When I say a lot of time, I mean like 99% of the time. Now, here's the thing, is they very much like function off of this like country club type of functionality, like globally, where it's like you see them functioning where it's like now that they got it all out of their system by imposing on everyone globally, killing everyone, taking everyone's resources for hundreds of years, then acted like they didn't do that. And then now they're at a point where they're like, okay, we're calm now. Everyone chill out. Everyone calm down, and we will be the guardians of peace.
You gotta maintain the chaos that you created.
But what they do is like the minute you do anything that like slightly resembles the way that they function, they're like savage. You cannot trust this person, or this person is this and this person is that.
I mean, if you point a finger at me, you only point 3 back at yourself.
Yeah, 4 technically. If you
No,
point the thumb.
It's 3. It's 3.
But the saying is you point 1 and there's 4 going back at you. But whatever.
3, how do you put the thumb?
Exactly.
Well,
it's
the
3.
thumb is how you pull the trigger. So it's it's
Doesn't matter how. Doesn't matter. You can't bend the thumb
It
backwards
goes.
to point it yourself.
It's
It's gotta be
3.
going
I
forward.
didn't make
It's
the
only a
saying.
3.
It's
And
3.
I didn't make the
technically,
saying.
Whatever.
thumb is on
Okay.
the index and thumb.
Whatever. You guys, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna happen. But I don't know if anybody else has anything to add about Merita and the coups in terms of like the way of life before we move to some of the other questions and then we get to rapid fire.
Put it this way: what's happening in Merita is a return back to what we're teaching.
Exactly.
Not the coups themselves, but the principle behind it is returning humanity back to the principles, the divine principles under which we used to live. The West will see it as violence against them because they are now being held accountable. And a thief doesn't want to be called out as a thief. They try and hide, but now they are actually being exposed. So all the dirt, everything that they can throw at Merita will be thrown. But the thing is, you have to ask the question, what exactly can the West do to Merita? Sanction them? What, stop their food? Hello?
That's not even
Stop.
working anymore.
Oh, hello? They're self-sufficient. So what Merita is doing is standing up, which is what we all are supposed to do, against colonialism. They have reigned and they have destroyed. And every nation can see it. Doesn't matter what color you are, everybody sees it. What Merita is doing is pointing out that this needs to change. And we're not taking it anymore.
What was it? Was it the Ugandan president who basically, when they were trying to give all those sanctions because they refused to accept homosexuality, and then he was like,
Such a weird thing to sanction everyone.
Yeah, it's just the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, you can take all your aid and all that. As a matter of fact, aid is part of the problem. So why do you keep thinking we need aid? Like, where's the aid? What is this aid? How? It's so backwards. Like, the perception they give the world is so interesting because everything that the Western society is, the Western so-called culture is because it's getting aid from the third world. And then in turn, they're taking the wealth that they got from the third world, so-called third world, and then they're going back into the so-called third world and saying, look, we'll help you guys now. This here, take this thing. Take these wealth and riches that we stole anyway. But please, we just want to be seen as if we're doing something. It's like what you're saying. It's like, hey, I didn't do that. I didn't shoot anybody. I didn't steal any land. My corporations are not doing anything evil. Look, I'm doing good. I'm giving back. And it's just BS. And, at some point it has to end. And that's just what it is.
So
It's like
go ahead.
the president of Burkina Faso.
That's my guy.
Ibrahim Traore.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Wearing a beret now, you know.
Yeah.
He was
It's called a
talking
beret,
on some
not
him
a
on
beret.
YouTube. And he's saying that Africa produces, especially Burkina Faso, a lot of tomatoes, and yet you have the French coming in and taking all the tomatoes and then selling them back, tomato
Into
paste,
Africa,
made from their own tomatoes. So they've processed the tomatoes and sell it back to Burkina Faso at an extraordinary rate. And he's saying, what stupidness is this? When we can produce our own tomatoes, make our own paste, why do we need them to produce, to give back to us what we're giving to them?
Exactly. Shout out to the president of Burkina Faso and all the other African countries that are rising up right now. And
Shout out to Putin.
Yeah, I mean Putin too. Shout out to Putin, and shout out to the to the actions of World War III that are happening, the silent war of World War III, and the topple of certain colonial powers, and the fall of France, 2024. Here we come.
Not just
All of them, but I think I think France is going to be, not I think, France is the first domino to fall, because once France falls, then there's a huge vacuum that will allow some of the other countries to really, so-called colonial countries, to really shit themselves. I'm looking forward to it. Once France falls, hey, because I saw recently that that the U.S. got involved in the war in Sudan, and then I'm like,
No surprise there.
I'm like, that's this, but they're backing one of the generals because the other general is being backed by the Russian forces. So again, another domino falls in this silent war of World War III, this proxy war.
For one BRICS dollar, you have to have 55 American dollars.
Goodness gracious.
For one BRICS dollar.
One BRICS dollar.
One BRICS dollar is 55 American dollars.
Holy shit. I'm about to move to Brazil. I'm about to set up residency in Brazil, in Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Kenya, Egypt, and
Kenya,
some other
Egypt.
countries
I
have
know.
joined now. So
That's what I'm saying. That's
You know.
the America's not stupid. They're trying to now. They're like, fuck. They're like, if the forces that are backed by Russia in Sudan win, then it's damn near like fuck. Because Egypt already joined. That's what I'm saying. Egypt, like Egyptians. Shout out to all the Egyptians. But we all know that you guys are like con artists. And the way you guys have been playing things globally to just jump on the train, be like, yeah, we're with BRICS. It's like, okay, guys. Like, but the way they've played things, because the way they play things globally is that they're kind of like very duplicitous. So, but anyway, shout out to BRICS. We're just going to end with this question from Chem Warrior. With all the knowledge the Kemetic society within Africa possesses, why not take over the political and spiritual arena and influence the continent to success? Anyone?
Well,
let's give it to Yattepia.
there's no politics involved in this culture. Taking over is another form of dominance. We're about teaching and educating for people to stand on their own without somebody looking over their shoulder to tell them what to do. It's about being a human being who can think for themselves, not to be imposed upon, governed, shackled, imprisoned, enslaved. It's about everybody being able to walk, knowing who they are, what they're here for, their own identity, understanding their ancestors, what they have in their blood, and coming here and achieving what they came here to achieve. I'm not waking up in the morning and going to work at McDonald's $9 an hour.
There's nothing wrong Working at McDonald's, Yattepia. For all the people that are listening, if you work at McDonald's for nine pounds an hour, that's fine.
Think about this. Our ancestors didn't wake up to work for somebody else.
Exactly.
They woke up to work for themselves. And that is find themselves, work on themselves, for themselves and their ancestors.
Exactly.
Not to impose them and give them new laws. It's just moving from one colonialism to another, just labeling it different. It's not about taking over, because that's dominance, and that's something that needs to be gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kenny Basha said it best. He said Yattepia's got nukes in her pockets tonight. She's out here dropping
Nukes in my pockets all the time. When it comes.
That's true, though. That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, even I wish it would have been in person, but we're so glad to have you on the show regardless, because, like, you know, Yattepia, that's my dog right there. Like, so yeah. In response to the question, just to add a little bit to what Yattepia was saying is, here's the thing: is there's not only the political arena in Merita, there's the cultural and spiritual arena, and also the divine world arena, because we understand, and this is for those to the uninitiated, political positions are a knockoff of the Kemetic divine model. So what that means is this, is that even, dare I say, some of these political leaders that are, you know, undertaking these coups in Africa, in Merita, are very much individuals that understand the necessity of these so-called divine models in terms of their cultural significance. Because here's the thing, is we know, politically speaking, in Africa, that to even hold a political position, you have to align yourself with the cultural and spiritual leaders of the land, which means that we have specific leadership positions within the culture that people hold that are considered the real leaders of the lands, whereas that the political leader is more like your liaison in terms of the like how some of the people will elect them, but they know that the real leaders are the ones that hold the cultural positions. So we're talking about the traditional kingships. We're talking about the people that are considered the real masters of the land, because they are identified as the leaders by the divine aspects of the land, which means the trees, the forests, the bush, the mountains, the valleys, the bodies of water, the sky, the land, the earth, you name it. All of those aspects of the planet, the natural aspect of the planet, nature, identifies those people in those positions as the true leaders, not the politicians. So the politicians know they have to play nice with those real leaders. So it's not that there has to be an aspect to take over the political. In Africa, even what you're seeing with some of these coups, and I'm not going to say who these people are, because I'm not going to blow up their spot, but it's evident to see who's really aligned with some of these things. You see that they're literally saying, like, hey, you know what? Like, we're just here playing this game with you guys, but we know what we're really standing on and what we really have back home, and we're not even wasting our time with this anymore. That's why you're seeing people saying certain things and doing certain things, because, you know, shout out to, I don't even want to say it because it just, like, you know, like, I'm not going to be the one to blow up the spot, but there's a certain country in Africa where they don't play around. They do not play around when it comes to maintaining their connection to those, you know, divine positions and people that are, you know, really recognized by nature. So, you know, it's coming.
I was just going to add that, again, that question is just a question that shows what we were even talking about on this show, is just people just have a lack of exposure to things. It's like, if I don't know anything about what kingship is, but all I've grown up seeing is like political positions, then in my mind, when I see these coups or these things happening, I'm just going to refer to the political aspect of it, not knowing that there's also a spiritual aspect of it. And that's one of the things that the colonizers have done really well. They've done a good job at hiding the traditional or the spiritual aspects of exactly what these so-called governments and these politicians really are. Because all governments are entities, right? But if it's an entity, then what's behind the entity? What's allowing it to even function? It's not just a physical thing. There's spiritual things behind it as well. So again, just understand that there's a world beyond what is available to the public. There's things that people don't see and people don't have access to. And a lot of what you're seeing, as Tutipsa and Yattepia was saying, is there are things going on behind the scenes that's allowing what you're seeing to happen. And like we said earlier, the ancestors don't play. Africans don't play. Like, things play out over the long term. So what you're seeing now is just a result of a very, very long, drawn-out chess game. So just, stay tuned.
We're in the end game now. And with that, a word from our sponsor, Sauce Hot Sauce. Sauce Hot Sauce began in 2007. Now, you know what? I really want to hear Bezzati read this in his New York accent.
You should have sent it to me and I would have read it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll just record you saying it in your British accent, and then we'll play it.
Okay.
Sauce Hot Sauce began in 2007 when a small group of students traveling in West Africa were trying to think of ways to support charitable projects.
Yeah, B.
One of the students traveling happened to be an artisanal hot sauce chef. And right there, Sauce Hot Sauce was born. Since then, Sauce Hot Sauce has prided itself in making exceptional artisan hot sauces with high-quality ingredients to support good causes. We continue to do this with the best and tastiest offering of sauce flavors to date, with a focus on supporting displaced families in Fala and Gorma, region of Burkina Faso, with revenue from our sales.
I'm going to send it to you.
He did it the best.
He did it the best, right? Yeah. Like, every time I've read it, it's awful compared to what Bezzati just did.
I'm a reader.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send it to you, Yattepia, and then that's how we will end the show. We will have you read it in your British accent.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I sent it to you. But with that being said, before we head into rapid fire, if you guys have not noticed this wonderful calendar sitting in front of me, the Kemetic Sigil calendar we got it from the printer. It's ready for you guys. You got a couple days before the year ends, before 22 ends. So make sure you order your calendar, risingfirefly.org. Get your calendar. We'll get it to you as soon as possible so that you can, keep up with the times and make sure you're aligning yourself with the cycles of nature. And also this Sunday, we are having our orientation in the New Jersey Temple. So that would technically be the first class for the doors of initiation that we opened up. So that's going to be this Sunday at 11 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Sunday at 11 a.m. And the doors of initiation are opening up all throughout our temples throughout this month of September. Like in Yattepia's temple, it's opening up.
In Coventry, yes, we are opening the doors of initiation on the 23rd of September. Doors will be open from 3 till 7 p.m. That's all I can say.
So, you don't want to miss it. If you're close to a physical temple, you don't want to miss it. It's really an experience that you don't want to miss out on. But if you're not close to a physical temple, then you have the online initiation available to you. I suggest you do that if you cannot make it to a physical temple, because
the online initiation is on the 11th, right? Or the 10th?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it's the 10th.
17th? Okay, so it's going to be September 17th. So, check that out, September 17th. I don't have the other dates all in front of me in terms of all the other temples when they're opening up their doors of initiation. But, look it up and, visit whatever temple is closest to you if you can. If not, then, go online and, start the work, start the path. of, you know, getting back to what your ancestors were doing and stop wasting your time. And with that, rapid fire.
Yay.
All right, let's get to it.
What, are you sick of rapid fire? You said yay.
Well,
We're going to fire
we'll
all
keep it
in
quick.
favor
We'll
of
keep it quick.
firing Kajas Riemann.
So, first of all,
Let
this
me-
is Time
nobody's
Maaheqwurr tuning in this week with you all. We have a lot of international affairs going on, tying into what you were actually talking about a minute ago with the coups in Africa, and West Africa in particular. So, the first topic, where is the next African coup? So, between 2020 and 2023, you know, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Chad, Sudan, Niger, and now Gabon have all had an upheaval of their democratic presidents. So now there are many countries looking like, okay, these generals are having a really good time of taking over these countries. So are we next? You know, that's a question.
Like, who? Like America?
So I mean, in one article, you know, Cameroon was, you know, the president of Cameroon was kind of, you know, looking a little shaky at the moment.
If you're looking shaky, it's because
Yeah.
you know you're doing something you shouldn't be doing.
Exactly. They're not going to overthrow you if you're not doing something that deserves being overthrown.
Exactly. So that's the emerging question. You know, who's next? And as you
Do they say in the article who they think is next?
I mean, Cameroon was.
Are there like
the topic.
odds? You know how like when there's like soccer games, like football games or sports games, and they give like the over under? Are they giving over under of which country? They're like, oh well, you know, Cameroon is like 400 or 500. Like, what's the spread?
Probably Togo and Benin too.
Togo and Benin? Togo? Oh, no, son.
No.
That's a tricky one.
That's a tricky one, bro.
That's a tricky
Who's gonna overthrow Togo?
The people. Motivation.
We're turning off Bezzati's mic. I want to make it into Togo.
What about Ghana?
Shout out to the Togolese president.
Ghana's
Togo.
Yeah.
Nah,
No. Lome.
nah.
So yeah, I mean,
I'm just naming
the
places
whole
I
point
know.
is that there's definitely an upheaval happening in West Africa, like you mentioned. And with that, the colonial powers of the West, like France and the U.S., are not under threat. So let's just stay tuned to have that info.
Wait, Yattepia, who do you think? You putting odds down?
I
No?
just want to sit back and watch this tape. But I have no idea.
Yattepia's like, isn't?
As long as
I'm not
it's
gonna be
news to
there.
happen,
Yeah,
fine.
damn right.
All right. So next topic, keeping it in Africa. Kenya's population growth decreases as more women embrace modern family planning. So, new stats have emerged that
We're muting your mic.
70 million women in middle and low income countries are finally embracing contraceptions. But in Kenya in particular,
See you
take
Monday.
care.
See you Sunday.
But in Kenya in particular, the number of women taking contraceptives have risen from 18% in 1989 to 57% in 2022. So that's what, almost a 31% increase.
That's insane.
So, yeah.
See, this is what I was talking about. Philosophical, spiritual, ideological segregation. You see this bullshit?
Yeah.
Nah, I agree with you on that one because, like, honestly speaking, like places like Merita, India, even like the South Pacific Islands and stuff like that, like the women, just traditionally, children are like a focus. Family is like a focus.
That's true.
So whenever we let like modern society in, and we let like these modern TV shows and these modern ways of doing things like corrupt the minds of the people,
Screw you,
start
Mom.
like you start to see things like where people have a decrease in the value of family, and then we end up with a situation like this. But if you really know politically what's really happening is it's a war. It's a war. Contraceptives, all these things.
It's an evil world we live
It's an
in.
evil world we live in. It's a war. Homosexuality, all these things, it's a war. It's a way for them to keep the decrease of population from growing, because certain countries, they don't want to see an increase because they want to decrease the risk of, you know, what's happening in some of these other countries, per se. Like, this is like what they call in Roman times infanticide, right? Trying to kill off the babies of the populations that they've already conquered because they don't want a risk of having to manage too much people in a specific region. They don't want to have the risk of a revolt or a risk of, you know, a coup from the structure at hand by having too much people in the society. So that's all this is. Yes,
It's all about economics. The
it's
stronger
economics.
economic wealth, the stronger you are, the more voice you have. It's all about economics.
Exactly. But I hope the women of Kenya, you know, peace be with them, and I hope they understand, and, you know, hopefully there's like a change in that, because that's not good.
I mean, this is why Putin is trying to. This is why Putin is in Ukraine. We think it's whatever we think, whatever America is trying to pitch to us, but he feels like Ukraine is still his. It's still a part of Russia.
It is, technically.
It is.
Hey.
But that America is coming in and feeding him these ideas.
Bro, the Ukrainian president is an actor. Like, when you see him in his, like, public stuff, bro, homie looks like he's like, hello. Like, you could tell he's, like, putting it on. Like, bruh,
There you go.
if I was in Ukraine, and I'm Ukrainian, and then talking about Russia's invading us, and I'm like, no, I'm moving to Russia. Like, I'm leaving. Like, so, I mean, it just, yeah, I mean, what you're touching on is real, because what we're talking about is, like, what Kaja Zarima was talking about and what Yattepia was talking about, too. All of you guys were making, you know, like, making different points to the same facet of the situation, or different facets of the situation, I should say. And it's unfortunate, because it's just, you know, it's population control, and it's about, you know, for them, it's about the almighty money. I want to say almighty dollar, because the dollar ain't mighty, not anymore. So it's what's happening.
Bricks.
I know, right? Like, yeah, well, the problem is I'm about to start. I better make sure you get your bricks dollar, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a bricks bank account, but I'm about to get one.
I didn't even know it was digital currency.
Bricks?
Yeah.
It's a digital currency? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's a digital
It's
currency?
all going digital soon enough, regardless. So that's where it's headed.
All right, damn. Well, shout out to Bricks Digital Currency. Get your Bricks Digital Wallet,
And that's
because it's coming soon.
That's actually the next topic. Dialing into BRICS. So BRICS added 6 new countries to their affiliation: Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, Argentina, and the UAE. So
Saudi
much of the
Arabia?
Middle East, North Africa.
That's huge.
Those are some big acquisitions, and this now puts them at 46% of the population.
Of the, like,
37%
globally, right?
Globally.
Globally.
And 37% of the GDP.
So what was it? You said 35?
37%.
37% of the GDP?
Bro, Saudi Arabia?
And no, but did you miss who was after that? UAE, bro.
Big money.
Yo.
Big money. Yeah.
That means all, like, damn near all of the oil.
That's what I'm saying.
Because, bro, don't forget, Russia, UAE, Saudi Arabia.
They have 70% of the oil now within BRICS.
Yo, gas price is about to go.
No. Better get your bicycle.
I need an electric car.
Yeah, but what do you think is powering your electricity?
Hey, you got a point.
Yeah, like,
You got a point.
come on. I mean, hey, you know,
Do we have to stay here?
yeah, just make sure you position yourselves accordingly. I mean, the only reason why we're here is because we still function as the outreach to some of y'all that need to get your shit together. Like, but other than that, like, you know, like, nah, like, I try and spend as least amount of time here as possible. Like, I try and go back to Merita all the time, and I'm going soon. Fuck y'all niggas. So, I don't know, Yattepia, you got anything? Do you have any UK perspective for us on the big dick of bricks?
Pause.
Can someone mute his mic?
I'm telling you, they're getting ready to fuck. They're getting ready to fuck the colonial countries. Like, Yattepia?
Speechless.
I am speechless, not because of what's happening, but because
The
the
big,
language.
the big dick of bricks.
Just wow. Um, well, we all better have a plan.
Exactly.
Plan B.
You know what's crazy about this to me? You know, a lot of people don't really know what's going on.
Nah,
They don't want to know what's going on, bro.
Like, so many people have no idea.
Not at all.
Zero clue.
Bro,
like-
they don't want it. They don't want anyone to know it's happening, bro, because it's huge. But that's why Trump, if let's pivot real fast to politics, right? If America wants to survive, Trump will win the election. If they don't want America to survive, Trump will lose the election, because Trump's going to be like, no. And Trump will know how to kind of navigate to play the game with Putin the right kind of way. Because the thing is like, you know, y'all been fucking with Putin. Y'all been fucking with him. And, you know, like, you reap what you sow. And, like, whatever bet America's been making, like, Putin's not coming through, like, on some, like, yeah, you know, it's fine. Putin's tucking you in. He's reading you a bedtime story. He's taking it very, very, he's fluffing your pillow and letting you know, like, you're not going down for a nap. You're going down for the long nap. And there's no coming back. Exactly. Like, I'm putting you to sleep, the long sleep. And that's the thing, is like, everyone's sitting here like, no, America's America. And it's like, buckle up.
It's going down.
It's going down.
Even at work, because, like, working in finances, right? Bro, nah, people still don't know. And I'm like, the finance people usually know everything, but it's almost like hush hush.
Yeah, because the thing is like, if, you know, like, it's like plausible deniability. Because if they don't acknowledge the fact that it's happening, then you don't have to do anything about it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's almost like a religious mindset. It's like they have faith in the American dollar.
That's exactly what it is. It's
Yeah.
faith. Faith and belief.
Yeah, but I mean, the scary part is like, Russia's not functioning off of faith. Like, Putin's not functioning off of faith. Like, BRICS is not. That's why I'm saying, I was thinking about it, and I was like, that's a big, like, whatever the U.S. is doing in terms of supporting what's happening in Sudan, I'm like, there's something else going on there. Because you got to think about it. How do you somehow start to gain a foothold on what Russia's doing in terms of BRICS? Because they're losing. They're kicking France out. Like, the president of Burkina Faso is like, get the fuck out, France. And then the way that they're aligning themselves with Russia, like, he's talking about, like, he's talking about comrade. Bro, I'm not gonna be out here saying comrade unless I know I'm like, yeah, me and Putin, that's my nigga right there.
It makes me question what's even happening with my little island, Jamaica.
Yo, I was just thinking about that too.
Wait,
It's
what's
like-
going on in Jamaica?
Because, like, the government is so aligned with China right now, but China is aligned with Russia. And I've been thinking about this for a minute. Like, why is the Jamaican president keep insisting on, we're switching to digital, everything is going to, not president, prime minister, sorry. We're switching to digital, everything is going to be digital currency, digital this. We're making the full transition to digital. And in my mind, I'm like, oh.
What is it?
Chinese buying up all the ports. They're giving all the Chinese all of this. China and Russia coming. That it's like,
Bro,
like it's so much going on
the
behind the scenes.
The BRICS nations are playing chess, and America is playing Connect Four. They're not even playing checkers. They're playing Connect Four. They're playing tic tac toe, and then BRICS nations are playing a much more refined game. And that's the thing, is like, nobody wants to talk about it, bro. Like, turn on MSNBC. Turn on financial channels. They're not going to talk about it.
Businesses.
I think one thing to consider too is that
It's
people,
not only that, the companies in BRICS, they all come with their own culture. The most
Thank you.
solidified Western country. You have America that doesn't have a culture, so they don't know how to play the long game or how to stand together and work together. They are just clawing at things.
Damn.
You have China, you have Russia. They are sovereign states.
Yeah, I know.
They they have their culture. You see, you have China, they have their synagogues, they have their language, they have their symbols, same with Russia, the same with a lot of these countries that stand together. And then you have America.
And then now you got the Muslims and the Arabs. You got the Arab Muslims. It's a fucking rap, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in Haiti.
Yeah. How's Haiti getting
How's Haiti getting involved? Yeah, they came
French
out of
control
left field.
Haiti. Because French control Haiti.
Still,
So-
right?
But the French don't control Haiti anymore.
Really?
Bro.
No, right?
I don't know.
come on,
From
bro.
what I...
Come on.
I don't know. I don't keep up with Haitian politics.
on, bro.
I'm
sure
asking
they,
you.
I'm sure they do.
But then why do you guys stand on driving the French out then? If France runs Haiti?
That's why.
Hmm?
Because they run Haiti. We don't want them. We
Same
want to
with
be ran
America.
by Haiti.
Yeah, but I thought
Yeah,
you guys.
exactly.
But the
Yeah,
whole
England-
point of like the Haitian pride is like, you guys rose up and drove the colonizers out.
Well, let's be for real.
Not really.
A lot of black,
really?
a lot of black societies or countries say that. But if that was the case, have you ever noticed that like almost all black Independence Days are like follow like almost the same year pattern? Like in a way, it's almost like during the expulsion of the colonizers, like everybody like domino effect just got an Independence
Yeah,
Day.
exactly.
It to me, it's like a what do they call it? The Wizard of Oz trick. It's like you think you're free, you think you're getting rid of the colonizer, but behind the scenes, the governments are actually still owned or controlled by those colonizers. Because it's the same thing with Jamaica, like the Jamaican government, like it's still controlled by the
Commonwealth.
The Queen is dead now. The Commonwealth, right?
Jamaica was told they had independence. They had a 99-year lease. If you cannot stand if you cannot support yourself within 99 years, you go straight back to the UK. We still pay taxes to the UK from Jamaica. You go to Jamaica, the airport taxes going back to the UK.
Yeah.
You're still owned by the UK. We have a 99-year lease and it's fast running out, and we ain't done nothing to stand up for ourselves except invite the Chinese.
So they gave y'all a
That's why
fucking
the
allowance.
Chinese is there.
They gave you guys an allowance. They were
Yes.
like, you can go out, but be back by 10 p.m. Otherwise, we're going to beat you. Wow.
Yeah, 99 lease. We haven't even got independence, and then we've got people in Jamaica, poor things, don't even know what's happening. Yeah, Independence Day, independence for what?
Fools.
You have a breathing space, and you're not taking advantage of it.
Man, I didn't know that. And I thought,
But it's like that with majority of the Caribbean countries. It's
Yeah.
like that with all of them. There's no independent black nation. It doesn't
And
exist
what they've done is pitted each Caribbean island
against each other.
I mean, yeah, divide and conquer. I mean, hey, I mean, the Caribbeans, because Caribbeans are not too far off from Africans in terms of the way they function. So if
Not
the
at all.
if the Caribbeans are gonna be over there looking across the water, like, oh, okay, the Africans are doing, oh, word, okay, cool. So it's only right.
It's making now it's clicking
No.
for me.
Yeah.
'Cause
No, you think the people in the Caribbean, especially Jamaica, are so enslaved, they don't see themselves as Africans.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're not gonna look at Africa rising up as inspiration.
No, they
No.
would. They would. I agree with Yattepia, but there's a large
Yeah.
population of people who do. Even when
Yeah.
African presidents come to Jamaica, you will see a large group of people coming and like kind of like a parade. It's like it's like happy. But then you have the population of people that's like, me a Jamaican, me an African.
Oh, for real?
Foreigner come on my yard.
Yeah, right. But we don't pay attention to those guys because for a large majority of us, especially us in the country, we know because why the language is there, the culture is there, and there's certain practices that we have that is undeniably African.
Yeah.
So we know. But the thing what I'm trying to think about now is like, why were so many African presidents coming to Jamaica? Then the Chinese came, and now they're talking about digital currency. And I'm just, you get what I'm saying, Yattepia? It seems like, there's some things going on.
It
There's
don't
something
seem
going on.
like it, bro. Things are happening.
Yeah, the
They
goal
are
is
happening.
the digital.
But we're getting told we need to move on to the
All right,
next topic.
Good conversation. Good conversation.
I was like, shut the fuck up. We're moving on.
I was like, this is the show right here. So yeah, we got Nigeria once again. So
Nigeria.
Nigerian officials raided an LGBTQ wedding ceremony. August. What are you laughing? August 28th. Apparently, 67 people were arrested at the ceremony, and wow, it's pretty crazy.
I think you got to speak into the mic more because Yattepia's having
it's not coming through.
trouble hearing you. Yeah, just
Okay,
keep
sorry about
speaking
that.
to the mic more.
So one of the officials that were there to arrest said the following.
Okay. So
We
Yattepia,
cannot- you couldn't hear?
so you can hear because I guess you can't hear him.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, there was a gay wedding that was happening, and then they raided the wedding and arrested 67 people
LGBTQ.
for partaking in the wedding. Keep going. What else?
One of the police officers said,
Oh, 627?
no.
627 people.
No, 67.
67?
No, that was it's actually
Okay, so
67.
they arrested 67 people that were part of.
That's a
the
very small wedding for
supporting-
Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean
There
that's
were
true.
over 200 apparently that were present.
There were over 200 people attending, and they arrested 67 people. Keep going.
The police officer said that we are Nigeria and we must follow the culture of this country.
The police said we are
cannot-
Nigeria and we must follow
we
the
cannot-
culture of the country.
We cannot copy
That's
the
right.
Western world.
We cannot copy the Western world.
And he called the event
Oh, he called the what
evil.
evil?
He called the event evil.
He called the event evil. I mean, like,
Well, think about it. It's setting a principle.
well, I mean, it's true. It's true. And it's Seth's birthday. So, like, here's the thing. Is to the uninitiated, the reason why we're laughing is because, I think you guys should watch that Ugandan interview.
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay? Because who is gay? Who says I'm gay?
You said you are a
gay.
human
Yeah.
rights activist, but
What
LGBTQIA. Where's the H?
Where is it? So,
Where's the H?
Yattepia, I'm gonna send this to you because it looks like you don't know what we're talking about, and you will love this. You will love this. I feel like you guys are gonna get a huge kick out of this.
It's 54 minutes. Watch the whole episode.
You have to watch the whole thing. You have to watch the whole thing. Like, even to the point where, like, last time I was visiting my dad, we put it on the TV and we watched the whole thing. Like, because it's just so good. It's just, like, so great.
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
Oh, I got it.
So, the thing is, this is like, you got to understand that the same way that you can't go into Muslim countries and then bring the LGBTQ like lifestyle, in Africa it's the same thing, and there's a double standard in terms of the way that you won't infringe upon the Arab Muslim countries in terms of the way that they handle the LGBTQ lifestyle, because it's very much, if you're public about it, they'll kill you. Like, if you're public about it, like what you do behind closed doors, they don't care. But if you bring it out into the malls, you try and show the kids, you try and do this, you try and do that, they will kill you. Now, if you don't have a problem with the way that the Muslim countries do it, then it means that you're setting a double standard. And America will not go challenge anyone that are, or any of these Arab Muslim countries, and say like, hey, you can't do that, because they know damn straight that they have to play nice with those countries based on their dependency of oil. So, it's there's a lot to it, but even that way of maybe looking at the world, you could say is a sentiment that comes from a very specific way of living which feeds into the culture of no culture, which is at the foundation of no culture, and it's coming from the original colonizers. So there's a lot of historical context we could give and all that kind of stuff, but
It's some
Next topic.
freaky, it's some freaky Greeky stuff, okay? That's
freaky
it.
Greeky.
It's freaky Greeky.
Freaky Greeky. Yeah, freaky Greeky. But well, we'll move to the next topic.
Next topic, yeah. So
I like that topic.
I thought you didn't like rapid fire. Get the fuck out.
No, it's good. Tonight it's
Yeah.
good. It seems good tonight.
Well, yeah, because
Well,
now I started
it's
started picking the topics.
Oh, thank you.
Because we were leaving the topics to other people, and then we would sit there and be like, wah, wah, wah.
well, it's taking a turn. So police called out to reports of ritual mass murder, but it turns out to be a yoga class.
What?
Yeah.
So there was a yoga class where there were people.
I'll explain.
laying
So
on the
police
floor.
were called out for addressing a ritual mass murder in Yattepia, and then when the police showed up, it was a yoga class.
Yeah, so there were reports of people laying on the floor for extended periods of time.
Reports of people laying on the floor for extended periods of time.
And then 5 police cars pull up, investigating, really trying to see what's going on. And,
So 5 police cars showed up trying to find out what was happening.
and there were people just there walking in robes, basically just trying to say, you know.
And people were
Wasn't it?
walking in robes. I mean, I don't know. I've gone to a lot of yoga classes, and you don't wear robes. So it might have been a ritual mass murder. Like, there might, if there's smoke, there might be fire.
Sounds like some freaky Greeky stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been some shit. Like, you ever seen Eyes Wide Shut? Like, there's always some weird, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not saying, I don't know. I wasn't there. But, you know, it might have been like they were actually murdering everybody, and then the only people that were left were the murderers, and then they just put on some robes and were like, nah, like, are we doing yoga?
So somebody called, right? Essentially,
cover up? What's the
somebody called the cops, right?
Somebody. Yeah.
So it had to be somebody in there.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
I wasn't there. Where was this?
Let me double check. Pending.
Pending?
We'll get to that.
Oh, pending, like you'll tell us. I was like, where the fuck is pending? I was like, pending? I was like, is that in Pennsylvania? Yeah. I was like, pending. I was like, where's that? Okay, okay. So, next topic.
Okay, next topic. Oh, real quick. It was at a resort.
Is that a resort?
Nice. All right, so
Tutalin wants to go. He was like, that looks like a nice resort.
those yoga and resorts. Yeah. So next topic, Italians.
I'm never going to any resorts with Tutalin. Tutalin's talking about, that looks like a nice resort. If they're talking about you are possibly killing people, I'm not going to your resort.
That's
Wait,
crazy.
what? Wait, what?
It was at some North Sea Observatory at the chapel.
It was at the North Sea Observatory Chapel where?
Saint Leonard's.
St. Lyndhurst?
That sounds
St.
like
Leonard's.
English or something. I don't know.
Yattepia, would you like to speak on behalf of the British people for this ritual mass murder?
That turned out to be a yoga class.
Yeah, well, I don't
Well-
know. We don't know if it was a yoga class. You know, they were wearing robes. I've never gone to a yoga class where you wear robes. Allegedly.
But there was nobody killed, right?
Oh, no one that they could find.
Okay.
somebody called.
So that
But
shows
someone called in. Though. They
Yeah,
said-
somebody called it in. That's very strange.
if somebody called it in, that shows the infantile mentality of not accepting what other people do.
Yeah,
shows
it
that-
could be that. It could be that. It could be that.
A narrative.
It
So
could
they
be
are
that,
calling
yeah.
it.
Well, speaking of not accepting people's freedom, the Italians or
Okay, so
Italian boat company.
Next topic. So an Italian boat company.
They banned Kanye West and his wife.
They banned Kanye West and his wife because, well, I mean,
He's getting a blowjob.
I would ban Kanye too because he was getting a blowjob on a boat in public.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially the story right there. So they're saying,
So- The look on Yattepia's face is like, I stayed up for this. Yattepia's like, it's almost 5 a.m. and then you have a topic on Kanye West getting fellatio.
That last topic, it was actually in the UK.
Oh, it was. Oh, so the yoga ritual mass murder was actually in the UK. So you can go. Oh no, don't go check it out yourself. But
No.
yeah, you can tell us about it.
Just shows the
Find out.
mentality of,
Yeah.
as I said, when I was growing up, we had to get rid of our culture because it didn't fit the narrative. So somebody phoning because somebody's doing something that they don't understand doesn't give them the right to impose or to tell them what they should and shouldn't do.
It's
Behind
true.
closed doors. That's a for your problem, your business, but just don't bring it out into the public.
Her accent came out.
I know, right?
and people are nosy. I mean, for being real, people are just nosy. Like even this whole Kanye situation is it's all about paparazzi.
Nosy,
Bro, he was in
bro.
public.
He was in public, bro.
Was he really like?
Public, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Or was like someone like with the
No,
camera trying
bro.
to track him?
Like Kanye is like on a public boat in Venice, like with his ass cheeks out, getting a blowjob from his wife.
I mean, look, man, the man knows how to have fun.
I mean, if I was Kanye, I'd do the same thing. But I'm not Kanye. But I'm just telling him like, then you can't have a problem with, or you can't be mad at Italy banning you. Like, all right.
Fair enough.
Next
Fair enough.
topic.
Next topic. So actor Danny Matterson sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for rape.
Actor Danny Matterson sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for rape.
He was a star on this That 70
He was a
Show.
star on That 70s Show.
Which
and-
one?
Hold on, we'll get into it. Just everyone, hold on.
So yeah, he was first accused of sexual misconduct in 2017.
He was first accused of sexual misconduct in 2017,
and in June of 2020, he was
and in
charged
June
with raping
2020,
three
he
women.
was charged with raping 3 women.
Dang, bro.
And
Now-
What's going on?
he's known for being a part of the Church of Scientology.
He's known for being a part of the Church of Scientology.
and those women were
And
a
those
part of it
women
as well.
were part of the Church of Scientology. So here's where things get interesting, right? Is the Church of Scientology is notorious for getting you out of situations if they want to get you out of situations. Now, did he try and leave the Church of Scientology? That's the question. Because if he tried to leave, I heard that the way that they function in the Church of Scientology, and this is why allegedly Tom Cruise can't leave, is they get dirt on you and they get you to admit to things in their process of, I don't know what it's called, but they have you do that thing where like you reveal your deepest, darkest secrets.
That thing
And
where they put you in the chair.
yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Shaming.
No, it's not shaming,
You know, the
it's-
Nation of Islam does that with them.
The Nation of Islam does what? They do that with the Church of Scientology?
Yeah, that's at some point Farrakhan was like promoting that.
Not incriminating. It's a specific practice that they employ in Church of Scientology. I don't remember. It's called a specific thing. But what they do is they get you to reveal certain things that you don't want people to know
Through your
because it's
subconscious.
about like you admit it. It's like they basically make you do confession. It's like a weird way of making you confess to shit.
I thought it was like a chair they put you in, and they do some kind of psychological thing to your brain that takes out all of the things in your subconscious and your conscious.
No.
and you start spilling it.
That process occurs from you admitting the things. Does that make sense? So it's not like you're there and they're shooting you with like a James Bond villain fucking laser, and then like you start revealing things. It's like you're sitting there and then you're talking about things, and then they put pressure on you because like the way that they do, I don't remember the exact name, but the way that they do it is like they kind of put you in a room and then they
Sounds
ask you,
so weird.
and they ask you, what? But yeah, then they keep asking you all this kind of stuff. Anyway, apparently what they do is that if you try and leave, they won't give you, I mean, what they'll do is they'll reveal the shit that you revealed.
Some Jeffrey Epstein Island kind of shit.
Yeah, so it's like, it makes sense. that they would maybe, if he tried to leave, that they would maybe like put this out there and then not protect him, because they know how to protect you. Like the Church of Scientology, they know how to do their stuff. And who the hell is Joshua Rawls talking about, can we get a chem perspective on these topics, please? I feel like I'm listening to Instagram news, so sign off. I don't know who the hell you are, Joshua Rawls, but you can get the hell off the show, because this is the way we do it on Gator Gates, and if you don't like it, then be gone. I don't even know who you are. Who are you to tell us what a chem perspective is on anything?
Goodbye.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything about the Church of Scientology, about this stuff? Yattepia just looks confused.
No, I'm just thinking I don't know enough about
Okay.
Church of Scientology.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Next topic.
Next
Yeah,
topic.
for sure. Let's move forward. Let's do two more for the sake of time.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kim perspective, what is your Kim perspective on club goers in Houston are now having bottle wars?
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Bottle-
So
So
in
they-
Houston, what they're doing is they're doing this thing called bottle wars, Yattepia. We would like your chem perspective on bottle wars. Keep going.
So essentially,
What does that mean?
rich dudes or rich people in Houston.
So rich people in Houston are going to the
are-
club.
They're buying
They're not
expensive
rich.
bottles, and instead of drinking them, they're just pouring them out to show that they.
So
have
they
a lot
buy
more
expensive
money.
bottles of liquor, and instead of drinking them, what they do is they pour them out.
To the dead
So
homies.
it's like, you know.
Not even.
Yattepia,
Not
the
even.
face Yattepia made, Yattepia like, did
so-
I
so
hear
it'd
that?
be Like, oh, I have my crew on the left side.
Did I hear that properly?
Like, so I have my crew on the left side, you have your crew on the right side. You buy bottles, and you pour them
Okay.
out, and whoever runs
So
out first
it's
wins.
like one rich person on one side of the club buys a bunch of bottles. Okay, so Joshua Rawls says an initiate and a graduate of what temple? What temple are we talking about? Because it doesn't seem like you have any real experience.
Expose yourself.
Because I'm not for this. Like, if you're gonna come out and then you're gonna make a dumbass comment like that on a public platform talking about, can we get a chem perspective? What chem perspective do you have? And who are you? Because you're saying you're an initiate and a graduate of what temple?
So
of where?
my Kim perspective on the bottle
Yeah.
wars is the fact that they're not even pouring it to their ancestors, as Bezzati said. They're not pouring it to their divinities or their genius, as Bezzati said. They're just pouring it. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
a
ego.
public display. Yeah, exactly.
I'm richer than you, and I can pour out this amount.
I will say this
I don't
though.
need-
The guys who are doing that, they're not even rich. I don't
No,
know
they're
where
not.
we're getting
No
the
one that's
rich.
actually rich would
Nobody,
do
yeah,
that.
they wouldn't do that.
But-
Because
So
I've
it's-
seen this done.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Yattepia.
So it's about status then. I can afford to waste this.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
before we move to the last topic, let me just address something real fast.
Our Kim
For-
perspective is that we don't waste things
Yeah,
in Kemetic
no,
culture.
we don't. And when
Everything
you pour
gets
alcohol,
used.
it's spirits. Because here's the thing, right? Joshua Rawls, I don't know who you are. I don't know what temple you claim to be a part of. I don't know what temple you claim to be a graduate of. But let me give you a piece of real Kemetic perspective on something.
Let's go.
If you claim to be a so-called, he said Chicago, you're gonna, Chicago? Wait, is this, if I know who you are, bro, like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Like, if I know exactly who this is, bro, like, sign off. Like, just go. Like, now that I know who, now that I know who it is, yeah, next topic. Like, bro, nah, don't come on here claiming to be an initiate. What's your name? What's your initiatic name? You don't have it. Next.
And on that note, so we have scientists grow human embryo model without sperm or an egg. So we've had several topics over the past months about, you know, them experimenting with fake births and fake wombs and that kind of stuff. So the Weizmann Institute says they have an embryo model. where
Okay, so
after-
wait, I gotta say it for Yattepia.
Why is
No, it's not translating. It just. Okay, so Yattepia, they made an embryo in a lab, and keep going.
and basically it's a 14-day-old embryo.
It's a 2-week-old embryo.
And it's able to turn a pregnancy test positive.
And it can turn a pregnancy test positive.
So this is another step for them saying that, you know, they're still finding ways to experiment with the egg, but they're getting closer to, you know, creating birth in a sense.
So, damn. So there's no sperm and no egg, and then they're impregnating an embryo in a lab with no sperm and no egg.
They're using stem cells
And they're using stem cells
and programming those.
and programming those cells in order to do it.
Frankenstein.
That's so strange.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah. So they're cloning, but they're like not cloning through cloning. They're cloning through coding.
Yeah, there's a whole process they have on the site as well.
You know,
They said there's a whole process to get the stem cells, all that kind of stuff. Go ahead, Yattepia.
if you create something and what you've created starts to create other things, you start to worry about what you've created and you know you need to shut it down. So with Earth, knowing that we are overstepping nature, it's going to shut us down. Stop things because we are then creating things that are not natural. And we're not looking ahead to see where it's going to lead. We are always wanting more and more and more and more. How far can we go? How far can we push nature? Not realize there's a wall we're going to come against, and that wall's going to come crashing down on us. We have to stop. We can't keep going on like this. This is crazy. It shows the barbaric nature of a human being and what lengths it will go to try and prove or try and say that they can outrun or master nature. It's not happening.
Exactly.
I mean, it just it's I mean, it's just very strange, and it just showing that like what happened to the natural way of doing things. Like that's not good enough anymore. Like now we're gonna do this weird shit. Like it seems like whatever the sci-fi movies have been saying and showing about, like, you know, how human beings are eventually going to end up in a whole lot of shit because they keep trying to do things against the way nature needs it to, or the way that nature does things. And then it's like, that's almost like a foreshadowing of what's really happening in this day and age. Because I was thinking about it. I'm like, what's really happening?
That's because they've programmed us to believe that whatever is happening is meant to happen.
Exactly.
So you're not like,
It like we find ourselves in a very strange, it just shit's getting weirder and weirder. I was looking at AI the other day because you can have AI like just make whatever you want. And then I was like, bro, I'm like, what's going on? Like,
look when Terminator came out. Remember the film Terminator?
exactly. Yep.
Look long ago that came out.
That was that was in the 80s.
Over.
Yeah.
That's where we think we're going to head. So it's just what they do is program the people to believe that this is the way it's going to be because you've known about it years ago and it's happening. You already know what the outcome is going to be. So it's programming you for doom and gloom. It's programming you for you only live once. It's take that spirituality out of your life. It's give you a where you can't look ahead. You just look ahead at what we need to look at. Don't look backwards because that's failed because we're now in the future. We are being programmed not to think. We are being programmed not to think about non-material. We are being programmed to know that everything comes to an end, including us, including life, including Earth, including everything.
Yeah, has anyone ever experimented with ChatGPT? Is that what it's
As it
called?
was.
Oh yeah.
I've used it
You've used it
like
for what?
3 times.
So
I haven't actually used it
and
to do
Zawas?
anything, but I've just tested it.
Like, what
I
did you
just
guys
asked
do?
it questions. Like I think I asked it to make me a list of what did I ask it to make me a list of?
Don't forget now.
What hustles, side hustles, to make money?
Generation. That's how it starts.
No, I asked it to make me a business plan for a catering business.
And what did it do?
It made it, and it was spot on.
Really?
because I already know what it should look like. So then when
Yeah.
it made it, I was like, damn, it did it better than me.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you hire it?
Did hire it? I mean,
Did you give ChatGPT a job?
Commission.
Shit.
I believe that because I heard this Tupac and Nate Dogg song
Oh yeah, that was fake.
that was AI,
Yeah.
and it was so good.
Oh damn, I haven't heard it. But the thing is like, but that's so dishonest because they've been doing AI for Tupac for a long time. Because all that music that they said that they were putting out after he died, it's like they weren't willing to come out and say like, obviously he never finished those songs. But then they were able to finish those songs by using some of the stuff he had previously recorded and then putting his voice on lyrics that he had written that he'd never put out. So it's like, you know, they've been doing it for some time. I think
Well, AI
they just
been
rolled it out.
AI been around. I think we did an episode on this specifically.
Yeah, it's been
It's
around.
been around for
Been
like,
around for a long
for a long time.
It just that they started rolling, like,
Yeah.
they only roll it out to the public when they've perfected it, you know? Like, when it's at a point where it's like now they do the rollout and make it seem like it's like happening over time, where in actuality it's like release the hounds and then they're like release this, release that. Like, they do it over time.
Like whatever we're looking at now in the society in terms of AI, they're already 10 years ahead.
Exactly.
And then 10 years from now, they're going to give us another slightly more upgraded version while they've already reached 30 years ahead.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
like Yattepia is saying, it's like they already prepped us for it. Like the sci-fi, the Star Wars, the Matrix, all that stuff, it's already here.
I'm not gonna lie though, if they come
You
out
know,
with a lightsaber, I'm using it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
In 1996, I was walking down the road with my children, and I looked up on you call it a billboard, and they had a tablet. This is in 1996. Tablet. And I thought, oh, Moses is a tablet. Look, we don't need a pen, we can use our fingers to write on. But it didn't take off. So what they did was they took the tablet back off the market and started with mobile phones and started introducing bits of the tablet into mobile phones. And every so often you have to upgrade your mobile phone and then add more and add more. And all of a sudden, tablet's back out again. They do with us, they test, they roll out something to see if we accept it. First they feed us with a lot of things, then they roll out to say, well, we understand this because we've seen this 20 years ago in a film. Oh, then what's that now? And then if people don't use it, the way they want to use it, they'll take it back off, give us something else, and add a little bit of the first invention into it, so we accept it, and then they keep adding on. Like Kajusa Riemann said, when we get something, they're only 20 years ahead, looking to roll out something else to add on to what we already have. So we're constantly devolving and thinking we're evolving all the time, in language, in technology, in the way we dress, in the food we eat, everything they're doing it with.
I mean, that really was our last topic. And before we allow Yattepia to kind of take us out by reading the hot sauce sponsorship, let me just address real fast like fake initiates that claim to be initiates online, because I want to just kind of give a context to people that are non-initiates and say this. There's a lot of people out there that claim to be initiates, but then the thing is this, is like in order to be a real initiate, it's about traveling back to our temples in Merita. Like Josh, you've never traveled back to Merita.
Get 'em.
I know you've never been back to our temples.
Get 'em.
Now, the second part is this, is you technically aren't considered a graduate of our temples because you did not even take all 3 classes. You took 1 class. And this is the thing, is like, don't come for us unless we send for you. Okay? So if like you don't want us to be out here exposing you, don't come on any of our platforms saying things like you know what a chem perspective is on anything. Okay? Because you don't. Because you're not a chem. Because to be a chem, you have to be somebody that goes back to our temples, is actually a part of our temples, and you're not considered a part of our temples. You took 1 class. Okay? And maybe if I'm not mistaken, maybe, just maybe, you took a 2nd class. And that's if I'm giving you a little bit of affordance here. I don't know for sure, but I will say this. There's a lot of people on the internet that claim to be real initiates, but they're not. So watch out for those people, because there's a lot of people that want to talk about, oh, that's not the way their center's supposed to do this. That's not the way their center's supposed to do that, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you don't know nothing about nothing. Okay? There's a lot of old, fake initiates that want to come on here talking about this and talking about that. And it's like, I got news for you guys. Buzz off, fuck off, and go somewhere else. Because the thing is like, you guys want to talk about it's supposed to be like this, it's supposed to be like that, and all this kind of shit. And it's like, who are you? Like, when have you ever really been a part of these temples? When have you ever really been a part of this work? And if it's very difficult for you to say how, and then to be on the internet misleading people, talking about like, oh, that's not a chem perspective, you're not even a real chem.
Get 'em.
Okay? You're just somebody that came to study a few classes and then came and wrote some things down in your notebook, but you never really took anything you were learning and applied it. Because in order to be a real initiate, you have to be applying what you've learned. And that means understanding and learning that there's a dynamicism to everything and anything that you're doing. And the thing that you neglect and the thing that a lot of you tend to have a misunderstanding of is you don't bring yourselves to anything that you're learning. And then it becomes strictly an intellectual exercise where you think you can come online and make a comment saying like, oh, that's not the chem perspective. What are you talking about?
Stop
You're
trolling.
not even a chem. And then you're telling us what the chem perspective is? When have you been back to the temples? When have you seen the culture in real life? So don't ever, ever change your face to pick up a phone and to write a comment trying to represent yourself as some sort of initiate. You are not an initiate.
Get 'em.
And you have no right to do so. And the reason why I'm saying this, because normally this is a conversation we would reserve for private and we wouldn't have it publicly, but you're not even an initiate to have a conversation with privately.
Just trolling.
Yattepia, take us out, please. Can you read that sauce advertisement for us, please?
I will do. Hot Sauce began in 2007. And a small group of students traveling in West Africa were trying to think of ways to support charitable projects. One of the students traveling happened to be an artisanal hot sauce chef. And right there, Sauce Hot Sauce was born. Since then, Sauce Hot Sauce has prided itself on making exceptional artisan hot sauce with high quality ingredients to support good causes. We continue to do this with the best and tastiest offering of sauce flavors to date, with a focus on supporting displaced families in Fada Ngoma region of Burkina Faso with the revenue from our sales.
It sounded like the lady who does the voice for the Peppa Pig, the child TV shows.
Got all the kids running around speaking British.
Yeah.
Nigga, please.
Yeah.
And with that being said, please, there's so many ways that you can get involved in our temples, aside from being a fake initiate coming on and then claiming to know about what the chem perspective is or what the chem perspective would look like. So I highly suggest and invite all of you guys to find out all of the different ways you can get involved. Initiation is one of the most intensive ways you can get involved in the culture, but that doesn't mean it's the only way. We have a pilgrimage that's happening in January. Please, please, please check that out. Email us at travel@theearthcenter.org to get more information about it. And what we do is we go to all of the indigenous temples that we are aligned with. You get a real gateway into the indigenous way of doing things, the Medita culture. You know, you get to actually be a part of the temples, see the temples for real, the way that they work, what they are. And to the uninitiated, to the, to the stranger, to somebody that just kind of showing up out of the blue, they're not going to reveal anything to you. But to go there with us, things will be shown to you. Yattepia, yes.
Okay, to the non-initiates and to many out there who are seeking Kemetic advice and wisdom. We are not a religion. We don't conform to a certain way of being. We are all original beings walking our own path. If you look to nature, you'll find that in every single species on the planet, there is a variation. There is a different way to express itself. The way that Gate of Gates expresses itself appeals to a certain audience. Not every audience will like it because they will have their expectations about other things and the way things should be. We are all individuals trying to find our own way. We all have one destination. You have been born, you have one destination, which is death. Upon arriving at death, make sure you have lived a good life in order to be met by your ancestors at the gate of death. So be careful what you do and say to others because it does count. It counts in your journey alone. Be accountable for your actions as we are accountable for our own. This journey is not an easy one and should not be taken lightly. So please, if you do come on this show, be aware of how your interactions and your expressions affect others who are not initiates. We are all different. Every plant, every tree you can see, you know it's a tree because it has leaves, it has trunks, it has branches. But no two trees are the same. The same with dogs, the same with cats, the same with fish, the same with every single species, the same with humans. Everyone is different. Everyone expresses differently. You expressed your way. That's down to you. That's your expression. And that's something that you are held accountable for. So please be careful with your words and who you offend.
Yeah, because the thing is this, is like, Josh, like there's a lot of people out there that are going to maybe take what you're saying and be like, oh yeah, that's not the Kim way. And it's like, bro, please. Like, people are going to see that and then take that and then maybe try and run with it, when in actuality, it's like, you're misleading people. So please, just, we'll take it from here. With that being said, Yattepia, can you please tell us about anything that's happening in your respective temple that you would like the people out there to know about, and then we will sign off and let you go to sleep because I know we've taken your night away, basically.
It's okay. It was worth it, actually. Tomorrow in our temple we have a Kemetic yoga workshop where we will be talking about car TV, why we do it, what's its purpose, and what you gain from learning about this discipline. That's tomorrow at 2 to 5 in the Coventry Temple. On the 16th and 17th, we are at a pagan festival in Coventry. We are taking centre stage on the golf days, where we'll be doing a ancestral ceremony to invoke the deities on the land to protect, to help us to unite the people, because the people there are all seekers. There's over 150 stalls. It is now the biggest pagan festival in the country. The first time we went there was 2 years ago. We came with one little gazebo, 2 by 3 meter gazebo. It was followed up by all the other ones. The second time we came there, we came back with a 3 by 3 meter gazebo. Third time we're going there, this time we're going back with 2 gazebos. And now they want us to take centre stage. So we are growing as well as the pagan festival. So you can see the doggone initiates there in Coventry on the 16th and 17th of September. We also have our orientation registration day on the 23rd of September here in the Coventry Temple. If you'd like to know more about us, go on the website www.theearthcentre.org or give us a call on 07 +4 7305 955 994 or 02476 266 859.
It's the world's longest phone number.
Website, you can call us and email us on coventryec@theearthcentre.org, or you can listen to our podcast or check us out on YouTube. There's many ways you can contact the Coventry Temple. Please use any avenue you feel fit, and I will be there available to talk to you. Yeah, I think that's that all. I might have missed out a few things, but that's basically what it is.
You guys are, if you're in the UK, honestly, like you are putting yourself in such an advantageous position to go visit I'm gonna say this incorrectly, the Coventry Temple. So please, the Coventry Temple is a gem, and please go check it out if you can.
Make sure you don't show them the cadaver pose, or you might have the police running up on you.
And not to win either.
And with that being said, this has been another episode of the Gated Gates podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We hope you guys continue to tune in. Yattepia, it's been a pleasure. We appreciate you. We're looking forward to being able to do the podcast in person. And again and again, all we can say is we hope you continue to tune in, and we hope you continue to engage and continue to be a part. And we'll see you guys next week. Idiadu. Idiadu.
Yeah.